Welcome back into Ryan Jacobson Weather. Hope your Wednesday is off to a great start. Let's hop right into the forecast for today. And as you can see right now across the U.S., we have pretty quiet conditions. There's currently some snow showers behind this low pressure that moved through yesterday across the northeast going into the New England region. These are going to wind down as we go into this afternoon, evening. But up here in upstate New York, a couple of inches have fallen at the higher locations, and a little bit of a late snowfall for these areas. The rest of the country is pretty quiet. We're also seeing weak disturbance, but it's going to strengthen going into this evening, afternoon. That's across the northwest, and we'll go more detail into that here in a second. So let's hop right into the forecast for today. So this is the current look right now, and as you can see, we have this low pressure now situated into Canada. We have this kind of moisture wrapping around behind it with that cooler air, triggering some lake effect snow showers off the Great Lakes. Again, they're having a couple of inches already in upstate New York this morning, especially at the higher elevations. You usually don't see accumulating snowfall in the middle of April too often. It's not never, but you don't see it every year. So a little bit of a late snowfall to those areas today. Like I said, that's going to wind down. But we have our next storm developing here. This is coming out of Montana. It's going to going in towards Wyoming. It'll drop further south here. And as you can see, this thing's going to pick up steam pretty quickly here. It's going to be a 996 millibar low pressure system by tomorrow morning. And you're already going to see these thunderstorms firing off here in the warm sector. There is a threat for severe weather tomorrow across the central U.S. We'll go more detail into that here in a second. And early tomorrow, I feel like it's going to start off another severe weather marathon ahead as we have multiple days of severe weather, unfortunately, lined up going through Easter weekend. This is going into tomorrow afternoon here. You can see it's down to a 990 millibar low pressure system. Here's our severe weather threat going into tomorrow. Portions of Iowa, Minnesota, going back into Wisconsin. Could be some severe storms with that. We're also going to have some snowfalls. There's going to be some cooler air dropping southward behind this low. Could be some snow for portions of Idaho going to Montana, as well as Wyoming and even North and South Dakota possibly. This is going into Friday morning here. You can see this low weakens pretty quickly, and then it kind of drops off again back to 1,000 millibar low pressure system. But watch this. You can see a secondary low is going to develop here over northern Texas. This is going into Friday night here. And here's our next severe weather threat. Friday night going to early Saturday morning from Texas going all the way up into Michigan. This looks like to be a more widespread severe weather threat, and also looks to be a nocturnal severe weather threat. So we'll be watching that closely as well. Let me keep pushing this forward for you guys. Again, this is going into Saturday evening. These storms refire back off. We could see some flooding potential as there is going to be some heavy rain with these. Another low develops, and this is going to take these storms further to the northeast here. Here's our severe weather threat going into Sunday, Easter Sunday. We're going to be seeing probably widespread severe weather, unfortunately. And then this is now going into Monday. And Monday we could see more severe storms here further south. So we're just going to be watching everything closely, but it does look like a very active week of weather in front of us. This is going now into Tuesday. More storms firing off. Wednesday, it looks like we're going to have a lot of storms in the south. Some of these could be, your natural springtime thunderstorms, but I do think there is going to be severe weather possible almost every day this next week. Going into Wednesday here, into next Thursday. This is going into next Friday. But again, I do think, unfortunately, a lot of severe weather is going to be possible as we're going to have multiple low pressure systems moving through the country, bringing the potential for severe weather. So this is the SPC Center, and as you can see, there is a marginal risk for severe weather today. Not expecting anything major from that. But as you can see, starting tomorrow, Thursday the 17th, we do have a slight risk of severe weather. And we are going to have a slight risk of severe weather continuing from the 17th all the way through the 20th. I would not be surprised if more days get added on past the 20th. For tomorrow, we have that slight risk for Minnesota going into Nebraska, as well as Missouri, and even a little portion of Illinois. There's a 2% risk for tornadoes. It's going to really be driven by a hail risk for tomorrow's severe weather outlook. We have a 15% hash risk for severe hail, as you're going to have that colder air aloft here, just going to cause the better potential for seeing some larger hail. Let me go to the day 3 outlook here, and as you can see, we have a slight risk ranging all the way from central Michigan all the way back down into central Texas. And again, we do have a 15% risk for severe weather. And this is obviously our day 3 outlook. And when we go to our day 4 outlook, here's our day 4 outlook. Looks very similar, this time a little bit further to the east. We already have a 15% slight risk for severe weather from Pennsylvania back into Texas. And our day 5 outlook, like I said, a little bit further to the south. This is going to include portions of Illinois going back into eastern Texas and central Louisiana. And this is going to be for Easter Sunday, April 20th. One major story over these next couple of days and even possibly weeks is going to be the temperatures, as we're expecting the temperatures to really rebound these next couple of days, and it's going to get pretty toasty across most of the country. Let me push this forward for you guys. As you can see, currently, we do have that cold air locked in place across portions of the Midwest, Northeast, but this is not going to stick around long. Going into Wednesday here, you can already see that warmer air pushing further to the northeast. And look at this. Look at the highs here on Thursday. We're expecting highs to reach almost, maybe even possibly above 100 degrees here in northern Texas. Again, that's very uncommon for the middle of April. Let me continue to push this forward. You can see this warm air continuing to the northeast, pushing that colder air further north. This is going into Friday here. It's going to be very nice across most of the country, especially the eastern U.S. from, Texas roughly eastward. It's going to be a very nice day. You can see that cold front cutting through here. We're still going to be looking at highs, like especially here in the northeast, looking high 60s, 70s. This is going to Saturday here. A little bit of a cool down. Behind this, you can see really there's that cooler air. There's that first, kind of 2 layers here. Warm air contained here to the, southeastern region of the U.S. This is going to Sunday here. So this is your highs on Easter Sunday. Basically, for anywhere, in the mid-Atlantic going into the south, and to the deep south in Dixie Alley, it's going to be really nice weather going into Sunday. Everywhere else, it's going to be pretty dry and quiet, but there is going to obviously be some scattered storms, thunderstorms moving through on Easter Sunday as well. This is going to Monday here. A little bit of a cool down, but I'm expecting it to warm right back up here. And this is going into next Wednesday, as could have some pretty decent warm temperatures here for most of the country going into the middle of next week. So this is the 6 to 10 day temperature probability outlook from the SPC, Storm Prediction Center. And as you can see, they agree with me here. They're putting above average temperatures for basically most of the U.S. except the Northwest, including portions of Montana going into Washington and a little bit of some other states as well. Just really that only portion is what we're expecting to be below average on temperatures going into this next week. But a lot of the other areas across the country, you're going to see above average temperatures, especially going into the Dixie Alley here in the deep south. Again, we could see temperatures well above average for this time of year. Here's the total precipitation expected over the next couple of days. As you can see, we have that storm developing today here across the west. This is going to continue to the east here, going to trigger off some thunderstorms tomorrow going into Friday. There's that secondary low that develops here. Again, could be some more widespread rain here. I would not be surprised if there is some flooding here, as we're going to have 2 rounds of thunderstorms back-to-back days here from Illinois going back into eastern Texas. A lot of these areas, unfortunately, just did see some severe flooding, so we'll be watching that carefully as the European model is sticking out totals, reaching up to 6 inches of precipitation. So we'll keep you updated on that. This is going into next Monday. Precipitation continues to the east, and then this is all the way through next Wednesday. So again, most of the U.S. going to be picking up on some precip this next week, but really just kind of that bullseye is going to be the central U.S., where these thunderstorms are going to be most prominent. Lastly, for all the snow lovers out there, here's the total snowfall for this next couple of days. As you can see, places across the Northeast could pick up another additional inch or 2 of snow through this morning going into this afternoon here, especially the higher elevations, including the Tug Hill Plateau, going to the Adirondacks, as well as areas just south of Buffalo, kind of in those lake effect prone areas. This is going into Thursday here, and as you can see, we are going to see some pretty decent snowfall. There is winter storm advisories and warnings out across most of this area, portions of Wyoming going into Montana, as well as Colorado. Some of the high mountainous terrain areas could see up to 2 feet of snowfall. So, pretty decent snow event here for the mountains of Colorado, and obviously areas out west here for the middle of April, as there could be some pretty nice skiing conditions here going into Colorado. And we could even see some snowfall here in Denver, which is pretty crazy to see for April, as it was just 80 degrees. It was above 80 degrees a couple of days ago. It's crazy how the weather can shift that dramatically. And so that's through Sunday here. Again, maybe another little spot of snow here going in to Tuesday here, Monday going into Tuesday. But again, that's uncertain as we're still 5 days out. Again, it looks like winter's obviously winding down. We are in the middle of April, and I'm not expecting much more in the way of snowfall here to areas east of the Rockies the rest of this year. Could be a couple of flurries or snow showers out there, maybe going into early May. But I really think the snowfall is over for the Northeast. I thank you guys all for stopping by. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Can you just keep checking back on daily updates on the weather ahead? I'll have a video out tomorrow morning talking about tomorrow morning's forecast. So I appreciate all you guys stopping by. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.